Human accidentally matched rhythms with an alien girl, but the meaning was nothing like he thought. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's return to our main character. The hum of the Outer Rim research station drifted through the narrow maintenance corridor like a low breath, steady and mechanical. Ethan Cole, sleeves rolled past his elbows, knelt beside a vibration regulator the size of a mini fridge, its indicator lights pulsing in a faint turquoise glow. Every few seconds, a soft tremor rippled through the metal floor, a rhythmic tapping he assumed was just another one of the station's old systems complaining. He wiped a streak of dust from the panel, listening again. The pulse had a strange pattern, almost like a heartbeat, except smoother, intentional, as if responding to the quiet shifts in his breathing. Ethan tapped the metal casing lightly with his knuckle to test the resonance. The regulator answered with the exact same rhythm, as if mimicking him. He frowned, leaning closer. Okay, that's new. The overhead lights dimmed for a second, then brightened again, washing the hallway with pale blue. Temperature dropped slightly, the cooler air brushing across his arms. He shifted his weight, trying another tap. 1, 2, pause, 1. The machine answered again, perfectly matched. A small laugh escaped him. Great. Either you're alive, or I've finally lost it. He reached behind him for his toolkit when a soft hiss sounded at the far end of the corridor. The sealed door slid open. A silhouette stood against the light, tall and unmistakably not human. She stepped inside, and the sensor panels along the wall immediately adjusted their glow, reflecting gently off her turquoise pearlescent skin. Saris Halia moved with a quiet grace, her hair, silver with faint violet sheen, drifting as if the air itself parted for her. Her golden eyes fixed on Ethan, then lowered to the regulator, still pulsing in sync with his last tap. For a moment she simply listened. Her head tilted slightly, an almost imperceptible intake of breath betraying surprise. Human, her voice carried a soft resonance, like two tones speaking at once. Do you know what rhythm you just answered? Ethan blinked. I was just running diagnostics. She took a cautious step forward, the floor vibrating gently under her bare feet, the station's pulse shifting with her movement. That is not a diagnostic rhythm. Her gaze flicked to his hands, then to his chest, as if mapping the cadence of his breathing. Among my people, that pattern is only used during alignment rituals. Ethan sat back on his heels, confused. Alignment? Like calibration? Her eyes lifted to his, glowing a shade deeper. No, it is something done only between two individuals who intend a bond. The regulator pulsed once more beneath her words, mirroring Ethan's quickening heartbeat, and Saris's expression softened with something between awe and disbelief as the rhythmic glow synced with both of them at once. For a long moment Ethan did not move. The gentle pulse from the regulator brushed against his palms like a quiet echo of his heartbeat, repeating his rhythm back to him as if the machine itself listened. Saris stood only a few feet away now, close enough that he could see the faint shimmering pattern that moved under her turquoise pearlescent skin whenever she inhaled. The air felt different with her presence in the corridor, calmer somehow, as if the station adjusted itself to her natural frequency. Ethan cleared his throat softly. I really was not trying to do anything ceremonial, he said. His voice came out lower than he expected, steady but touched with confusion. I just heard the pulse and thought it was some malfunction. Saris studied him with that attentive stillness her people were known for, golden irises reflecting the soft glow of the panel. Machines do not choose rhythms on this station, she replied. They respond to the dominant presence in the room. Ethan blinked at that. He had worked on dozens of frontier stations, and none behaved like this. So you are saying, the equipment reacts to whoever is near it? In a way, Saris said, but only when the room senses a harmonic match. Her gaze shifted toward the regulator pulse again, the steady thrum syncing perfectly with the quiet rise and fall of her breath. It reacted to you first. That is why I came. Ethan shifted his weight, suddenly aware of how quiet the corridor was. The hum of the station seemed to settle into a lower register, almost expectant. If it makes you feel better, I did not know I was answering anything, he said. It was just tapping. Her head tilted slightly, a faint hint of amusement flickering across her face. Humans often do things without recognizing their meanings. She stepped closer to the regulator, kneeling beside him, but keeping a respectful distance. Her hands hovered above the glowing panel. The light brightened slightly under her presence, adjusting to her frequency in gentle waves. Ethan watched the patterns ripple across the metal surface. They were not random. They were responding to the two of them at once. So, what exactly does an alignment ritual mean for your people? He asked carefully. Not fearful, just trying to understand. Saris hesitated. Not long, but enough to tell him the question mattered. It is a tradition that began before my ancestors had starships, she said. Two individuals would sit before a resonance stone. If their rhythms matched, even for a moment, it meant they were capable of trust. Ethan absorbed that quietly. Trust, he repeated. Not a promise of anything beyond that, she added quickly, as if sensing his concern. But it is rare. Very rare. Most cannot match rhythms, even intentionally. The regulator pulsed again, perfectly in step with the two of them. Saris looked at the glow, then at Ethan, surprise softening her expression. And you did it accidentally. Ethan let out a slow breath. Guess I am talented like that. Her lips curved, the closest he had seen to a smile since she arrived. Before either of them could say more, a distant vibration rolled through the corridor, subtle but noticeable, as if the station shifted its weight. Saris rose to her feet, listening intently. The core is adjusting, she said. It may be responding to the misalignment earlier. Ethan grabbed his toolkit and stood beside her. Then we should check it before this place tries to sing at us again. Saris nodded, her silver hair catching the corridor light as she turned. Follow me. And, Ethan, yeah. Do not tap anything else unless you mean it. The regulator pulsed once more behind them, almost like a quiet laugh as they walked away. The central corridor of the station stretched ahead in a long metallic spine, lit by soft strips of blue-white light that flickered whenever the course shifted. Ethan walked beside Saris, toolkit in hand, matching her pace without thinking. Her steps were nearly silent, but the subtle sway of light across her turquoise pearlescent skin caught his attention each time she passed beneath a panel. The air temperature dropped slightly as they approached the stabilization chamber, a sign the core was compensating for something deeper in the system. Saris paused at the door, placing her hand near the access pad. The panel brightened before she touched it, recognizing her presence. Ethan raised an eyebrow. It responds before you even activate it? She nodded. It senses frequency. The system identifies who approaches by the resonance pattern in their body. Humans have it as well, but yours is more subtle. The door slid open with a low hum. Inside, the stabilization chamber was round and quiet, the floor marked by faint concentric rings that glowed with a soft amber light. In the center sat the core's resonance pillar, tall as a person and cool silver in color, its surface rippling faintly, as if the metal breathed. Ethan stepped inside, feeling the familiar static prickle across his forearms. It is out of sync, Sarah said softly. Something earlier caused the harmonic shift. The pillar is compensating, but not well. Ethan crouched near the base of the pillar, opening a small service panel. Wires and crystal conduits reflected the chamber light. As he inspected the components, the pillar emitted a soft pulse, and the amber rings on the floor flickered once before stabilizing. Saris approached the pillar, placing her palm inches from its surface without touching it. The light followed her movements like a ripple across water. It senses two rhythms now, she murmured. Yours and mine. Ethan glanced up from the panel. Is that a problem? It is unusual, she replied. The station expects one dominant resonance in a system room. But right now it cannot decide which of us to follow. Ethan tightened a connector, adjusting the alignment of two conduits. The pillar shifted tone, a lower hum rolling through the chamber like a slow heartbeat. Does it choose based on rank? He asked. Saris shook her head. Not rank. Compatibility. He paused. Between us. She looked at him for a brief moment, golden eyes steady and surprisingly open. Yes. The pillar reads energy signatures. It is trying to balance between yours and mine, but it is not meant to hold two at once. The amber rings flickered again, dimming as the pillar's glow softened. A faint vibration spread across the floor, gentle but noticeable. Ethan stood up, brushing dust from his hands. So how do we get it to settle? Saris hesitated, then motioned for him to stand beside her near the pillar. Move closer, she said. If we stand at equal distance, the pillar may recognize a shared intention. It will stabilize around the midpoint. Ethan stepped beside her, feeling the warmth radiating from the resonance pillar and the soft, cooler presence of Saris at his side. For a moment the room felt perfectly silent. Then the pillar pulsed once, a calm, steady thrum that matched neither of their heartbeats, but instead shaped a middle ground between them. The amber rings brightened, glowing in smooth, concentric waves. Saris exhaled slowly. It is accepting us both. That is rare. Ethan watched the pillar's glow settle into an even rhythm. Does that mean we fixed it? Partly, she said. But the system only aligns like this when it recognizes compatibility strong enough to sustain a shared frequency. Ethan blinked, unsure what to say. Saris looked at the pillar, then back at him, her voice quiet. Whatever happened earlier was not an accident. The station is responding to it. The pillar pulsed once more, gentle and steady, as if quietly agreeing. The resonance pillar's glow dimmed to a steady pulse that matched the midpoint between Ethan and Saris, a calm beat that settled the air in the chamber. Ethan felt the shift like a quiet breath passing through the metal floor, smoothing out the subtle tension that had hummed around them since they entered. Saris stepped back first, studying the pillar with a careful gaze before turning to him. The core will remain stable for now, she said. But the station will continue to monitor our combined presence. It will try to interpret it. Ethan closed the access panel, tightening the last latch. Interpret it as what? She hesitated. As a cooperative bond. He let that sit for a moment. Is that something your people do often? Rarely, she admitted. Usually only when trust has been established intentionally. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. Well, I guess we skipped a few steps. Her expression softened, almost amused, but she redirected her focus. Quickly, we should run surface checks to ensure the harmonic shift did not affect other systems. She moved toward the exit, and Ethan followed, the temperature rising slightly as they left the cold chamber. The corridor outside felt different now. The lights were steady, but the station hummed with a faint undertone that had not been there before, like the softest echo of a shared rhythm drifting through the walls. Ethan glanced around. Is it just me, or is the station listening more than usual? Saris slowed her steps. It is. The stabilization chamber set a new baseline. It is trying to understand the connection it registered. But we did not do anything on purpose, Ethan said. No. She turned her head slightly toward him. But intent is not the only way resonance forms. A soft chime sounded overhead, drawing both their attention. Saris's ears, framed by thin silver ridges, tilted toward the sound. That alert came from the observation wing, she said. We should inspect it. They made their way down a long, curved hallway. Translucent panels along the wall displayed a faint shimmer, as if reacting to their footfalls. When they reached the observation wing, the wide window displayed the glowing swirl of the nebula outside, its hues of violet and pale gold drifting slowly across the darkness. Ethan had always liked this view. Tonight, though, the light reflections across the glass moved in unusual patterns, syncing faintly with their combined presence. Saris approached the window, placing her hand near the surface. The nebula light shifted, aligning with her movement in a subtle ripple. Ethan stepped beside her without thinking, and the reflection changed again, forming calm concentric waves that radiated from the point where their silhouettes overlapped. Saris watched the pattern form, her voice quiet. The station is amplifying the resonance we created. It is reading us as a unified source. Ethan exhaled slowly. Does that mean anything significant? She turned to him, her golden eyes glowing softly in the nebula light. It means the station believes we are acting in harmony. Ethan looked back at the window, watching the waves settle into a steady pulse. Is that dangerous? No, she said. But it is a statement the station does not make lightly. The reflection pulsed once more, bright and gentle, as if carrying a quiet acknowledgment neither of them had intended to give. Ethan remained beside the wide observation window, watching the soft waves of nebula light ripple across the glass in quiet synchrony. The reflections shifted gently, forming a pattern that mirrored the calm pulse of the resonance pillar earlier. Sarah stood only a short distance away, her posture steady but her expression carrying a thoughtful stillness he had not seen before. The room felt warmer than usual, as if the station adjusted the temperature to suit both of them at once. She traced a fingertip just above the window's surface, not touching the glass, but the light followed her movement in a soft curve. "The station is still reading our shared presence," she said quietly. Ethan crossed his arms, gaze drifting between the nebula and her reflection. "Is it going to keep doing that?" "For as long as it senses balance," she replied. "These systems respond to harmony. When two frequencies align this closely, the station attempts to support it." Ethan gave a small, surprised breath. "Support it? That sounds like encouragement." Saris glanced at him, not smiling, but something close to it flickered in her eyes. "It is not emotional encouragement. It is environmental reinforcement. The station believes aligned frequencies create optimal function." "Still sounds like encouragement," he said under his breath. She looked back to the window and let the quiet settle. After a moment, she stepped away, motioning toward the secondary access hall. "There is one more system we should check. The station may have recalibrated the auxiliary pathways. We need to make sure nothing was strained earlier." Ethan followed, the soles of his boots echoing softly against the metal floor. As they entered the narrower hallway, the subtle hum beneath their steps deepened, adjusting the vibration as if compensating for both of their rhythms at once. Saris paused near a diagnostic panel. When she approached, the display brightened before she touched it, just like the access pad earlier. She opened her hand toward the screen, and several readings scrolled into place. Ethan leaned slightly closer, careful not to interfere. The symbols pulsed between their combined frequencies, alternating in gentle waves. "The auxiliary pathways are stabilizing," she said. "But they are doing so by following us." Ethan blinked. "Following us, like tracking?" "Not tracking," she corrected. "Mirroring." She stepped aside so he could see directly. The readings displayed two distinct resonance signatures, hers and his, overlapping at the midpoint. Every time he shifted his weight or adjusted his breathing, the midpoint shifted slightly. The system adapted in real time. "This is new," Ethan murmured. "I have been on this station for months. It has never reacted like this." "It has never had reason to," Sarah said softly. She studied the readings, her expression still calm, but her tone carrying quiet thought. "Resonance is not just about proximity. It requires response. You answered the station earlier, even if you did not mean to." Ethan considered that. "So it is reacting because we work together on the pillar?" Saris looked at him directly then, golden eyes steady. "No. It began before that. The station registered a bond attempt the moment you matched the rhythm in the maintenance corridor." Ethan felt the memory shift into place. The tapping, the response, the unexpected pulse. Saris continued, her voice low. "When you matched that pattern, the system sensed compatibility. When I entered the room, it confirmed it." Ethan let out a slow breath, processing the quiet weight of her words. Before he could speak, the lights along the ceiling brightened slightly, a warm, steady glow spreading down the hallway, as if acknowledging the connection again. Saris watched the lights settle. "This is the station's way of telling us the resonance is holding." Ethan glanced upward, then toward her. "And is that good?" Saris paused, the slightest hint of uncertainty in her usually composed tone. "It means the station believes we understand each other." The hum deepened once more, calm and balanced, as if quietly agreeing. The hallway lights settled into a soft amber glow, following the steady rhythm the station had been echoing since the maintenance corridor. Ethan watched the pattern shift along the ceiling, as if the entire structure breathed in slow harmony. Sarah stood beside the diagnostic panel, her fingertips hovering just above the display as she read the last of the recalibration lines. The symbols reflected in her golden eyes, flickering gently with each pulse the system emitted. "The station has finalized its adjustment," she said quietly. "It is no longer searching for separate resonance anchors." Ethan leaned slightly toward the panel. "Which means what exactly?" "It is treating us as a shared source," she answered. "A single harmonic pair." Ethan let out a soft exhale, unsure if the warmth spreading through his chest came from the station's lights or from her calm certainty. He rubbed his hands against his pants, trying to process the idea. "I have never had a station pay this much attention to me," he said. Usually it just breaks and I fix it. Saris looked at him with a subtle, almost thoughtful tilt of her head. Machines respond to intent, even when that intent is not spoken. Earlier, when you touched the regulator, your rhythm shifted toward alignment before I even entered the room. I still do not understand how I did that, Ethan admitted. It is not something humans do consciously, she explained. Rhythm is instinct. It reacts to emotion, focus, awareness. It can happen without meaning to. Ethan gave a quiet laugh. So I accidentally aligned? Yes, she said. And I answered without realizing it. The way she said it was not heavy or dramatic, just honest, like stating a simple truth that neither of them had expected to share. A soft tremor passed through the floor, not sharp but steady, and the lights along the walls brightened in a warm gradient. Saris glanced upward, listening. The station is shifting environmental levels again. It is optimizing comfort based on our combined presence. Ethan raised a brow. Meaning, warmer air for me, she said. Less humidity for you. He blinked. It can do that. It can when it believes two individuals are functioning as one unit, she said. Her tone carried no judgment, only understanding. She walked a few steps down the hall and motioned for him to follow. There is a calibration alcove nearby. If the station is adjusting environmental parameters this thoroughly, we should confirm its readings. Ethan followed her down the softly lit hallway. The walls responded with faint pulses each time they stepped, like ripples chasing their footsteps. When they reached the alcove, the door slid open before either of them touched the panel. A gentle breeze moved through the space, carrying a clean, faintly metallic scent. Sarah stepped inside first. Ethan entered a moment later, and the door closed behind them with a quiet hiss. The alcove was small, meant for two people at most, illuminated by a pale white circle of light above. Saris stood near the central console, her posture calm. Without her saying anything, the console activated, projecting translucent readings that hovered in the air. Ethan whistled under his breath. That is a lot of data. The station is analyzing our combined frequencies. Saris said. It is trying to determine how stable the alignment is. He watched the readings shift. Two rhythmic signatures, his and hers, drifted closer until the lines nearly touched, forming a slow, steady convergence. The console pulsed gently. Saris studied the convergence, then looked at Ethan, her voice quiet but certain. It is stabilizing. The station believes our alignment is intentional. Ethan held her gaze, the soft hum of the alcove surrounding them like a calm breath. And is it wrong? She paused, not looking away. No, she said softly. It is not wrong. The calibration alcove held its steady glow, the soft white light settling over Ethan and Saris like a quiet veil. The convergence lines on the console continued their slow, synchronized pulse, drifting together with a steadiness that neither of them tried to break. Ethan felt the hum of the station beneath his boots, a gentle vibration that carried a calm rhythm he had begun to recognize, the same rhythm that had followed them through corridors and reflected across every panel since their first accidental alignment. Saris watched the readings with focused attention, but there was something calmer in her posture now, a quiet acceptance that had not been there earlier. The console emitted a soft chime, and the translucent data shifted. A new symbol appeared, repeating in gentle intervals. Ethan frowned slightly. What does that mean? Saris stepped closer to the projection, her hand hovering through the light as she analyzed the message. It is a warning, she said softly. Not danger, just a shift. Ethan leaned in. A shift in what? She turned to him, her expression steady. In the core, it is beginning a resonance lock. Ethan blinked. A lock? On us? Yes, she said. When two frequencies remain aligned for a sustained period, the station interprets it as a cooperative pairing and attempts to stabilize it. It deepens the connection so the systems can function more efficiently. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. And that is safe, right? It is safe, she said without hesitation. But the process requires acknowledgment from both individuals. If either of us rejects the alignment, the station will release it. Ethan let out a slow breath. So we have to choose. Saris nodded once. If we do not, the station will wait indefinitely. It will continue to adjust, continue to support, continue to respond. But the lock will. Not complete. Ethan looked at the convergence lines again. Even without meaning to, their signatures drifted closer every time one of them shifted. The lines responded instantly, adapting to match. I did not expect any of this, he said quietly. Neither did I, Saris replied. Her golden eyes held a calm sincerity. But the alignment is not something artificial. Machines cannot create it. They can only read it. The alcove lights dimmed just slightly, softening around them like the station was listening. Saris stepped a little closer, her voice dropping into a gentler tone. In my culture, a resonance lock is considered a moment of truth. Two individuals recognize each other's presence. They choose cooperation, trust. Ethan swallowed, the weight of her words settling deeply but without pressure. And what happens after the lock? Nothing binding, she said. But the station will treat us as a unified harmonic source. It will respond to our shared presence. It will protect us as one. Ethan exhaled slowly, feeling the hum of the alcove, the gentle warmth of the air, the steady rhythm that had followed them since the beginning. Do you want that? Saris studied him with quiet clarity. I do not fear it, she said. And I do not deny what the station has read. She held his gaze. The question is what you choose. The console pulsed softly, waiting, the two resonance signatures drifting closer in a natural, steady rhythm neither of them attempted to break. Ethan looked at the lines merging, then at her. I do not reject it, he said. The alcove lights brightened in a warm, gentle wave, as if the station itself exhaled in relief. The warm wave of light faded into a steady glow, wrapping the alcove in a calm silence that felt almost alive. Ethan stood still for a moment, letting the quiet settle around him, feeling the faint vibration of the station shift into a new rhythm. It was subtle, softer than before, like the entire structure had moved a fraction closer to them. Saris watched the console as the convergence lines drew together in a slow, deliberate motion. The system interpreted Ethan's acceptance instantly, adjusting the harmonics with a quiet efficiency that carried no pressure, only acknowledgment. The station has begun the lock sequence, she said. Her voice held a steady composure, but there was a gentleness in it now that had not been there earlier. The console displayed a series of soft pulses, each one matched by a faint echo beneath their feet. Ethan glanced down as the floor vibrated lightly with each pulse. Is that normal? Yes, Saris replied. The resonance pillar is syncing with the alcove. It is establishing a unified pattern that both of us can sustain. Ethan nodded slowly. So this is the last step. Almost, she said. She moved to the center of the alcove, standing beneath the circle of white light above. The illumination softened around her, outlining the faint shimmering patterns beneath her turquoise pearlescent skin. She looked up at the light, then at Ethan, her expression steady. The station requires a final confirmation. It will attempt to synchronize with us directly. If either of us withdraws, the lock will fail harmlessly. Ethan stepped closer, stopping a short distance from her. What do we need to do? Nothing forceful, she said. Just stand with me. The station will read our rhythms. If they match naturally, even for a moment, the lock will complete. Ethan took his place beside her, the quiet hum beneath the floor rising slightly, as if aware of their positions. The overhead light dimmed, then brightened in soft waves that followed their breathing. Ethan felt his heartbeat slow into a steady pattern, not forced, just calm. The console projected their resonance signatures into the air before them, two lines drifting close. Saris's voice was quiet. Do not focus on matching. Just breathe. He nodded, exhaling steadily. The lines drifted, drew closer, held. The station responded instantly. A soft, low hum spread through the alcove, gentle as a distant tide. The circle of light above widened slightly, creating a warm glow that visually wrapped around both of them. Saris lowered her gaze to the convergence lines, her golden eyes reflecting the pulse. It is happening, she said softly. Ethan felt the shift. It was not physical, not emotional, just a sense of the station recognizing something unspoken between them. The resonance signatures touched. For a brief second, they moved in perfect unison. The station acknowledged the moment with a gentle chime, like a soft note played on glass. The lighting brightened in a warm wave that filled the entire alcove. Saris inhaled, a quiet, steady breath. The lock is complete, she said. The station recognizes us as a harmonic pair. Ethan let the words sink in, feeling the hum under his boots adjust into a new, steady rhythm. So this is what it feels like, he murmured. Yes, Sarah said softly, her tone carrying a warm echo of recognition. This is what harmony feels like. The warm glow in the alcove softened into a quiet radiance, settling over Ethan and Saris with a stillness that felt almost weightless. The station's hum shifted into a calm, steady rhythm that pulsed beneath their feet, like a subtle heartbeat shared by the walls themselves. It was different from the earlier fluctuations. This one felt anchored, certain, as if the station had exhaled after holding its breath for too long. Saris lowered her gaze to the convergence signatures floating between them. The lines had merged into a single, smooth pulse, rising and falling with unbroken consistency. The lock has stabilized, she said, her voice steady but carrying a faint warmth. The station now recognizes us as a unified presence. Ethan watched the pulse glow softly, each wave blending into the next. So everything on this station is going to react to us like this? Yes, Saris replied. It will respond to our shared frequency. It will support it. It may even interpret it as priority. Ethan took a slow breath, absorbing that. That feels surprisingly natural. Saris tilted her head, studying him with quiet attention. Resonance does not form without reason, she said. It does not matter whether the cause is intentional or accidental. What matters is what remains after. Ethan glanced around the alcove. The lights dimmed slightly, adjusting to a softer hue that traced the outlines of their shadows across the walls. The station responded not to either of them individually, but to both of them standing together. Saris stepped out of the light circle, motioning subtly toward the alcove door. We should return to the core corridor, she said. The system will begin distributing the new harmonic baseline. It may produce localized fluctuations. Ethan followed her as the door slid open with a gentle hiss. The hallway outside greeted them with a warm draft of air, as if the environment had shifted to balance her preferred temperature and his at once. As they walked, the ceiling panels brightened in a smooth ripple that followed their combined steps. Ethan noticed it first. It is almost like the station is welcoming us. Saris glanced up at the lights. That is the closest word your language has for it, she said. It is acknowledging the lock. It recognizes us as a unit now. They rounded the corner into the long central corridor. The resonance pillar's distant hum echoed through the metal spine of the station, deeper and steadier than before. The corridor lights synchronized with the pillar in perfect harmony. Saris paused in the center of the walkway, standing still as the soft glow washed across her skin. Ethan stopped beside her. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The station's rhythm moved through the air like a gentle tide, quiet but alive, reflecting their shared presence across the walls, the floor, and the soft undertones of the environmental systems. It felt like the entire structure was listening. Saris turned to face him, her golden eyes illuminated by the warm reflection of the corridor lights. Among my people, she said softly, a resonance lock means that two individuals recognize something truthful in each other. Something stable. Something worth protecting. Ethan met her gaze, the hum of the station steadying around them. Then I guess the station agrees, he said. Saris held his eyes for a long, quiet moment. No tension, no uncertainty, just the soft, steady rhythm that had followed them since the first accidental tap in the maintenance corridor. The lights brightened once more, then settled. The station fell into silence, meaningful, gentle, and complete.